Hello, this is Moots. We're at Trask Performance in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're going to install an Assassin Turbo Kit on a 135 Milwaukee 8 2024 Street Glide. We'll start by removing the seat, the passenger hold-on strap, keep track of your fasteners. So we're going to remove the tank. There's 4 fasteners, a couple of hoses up front, and the fuel line on the left side. If you are not a trained Harley technician, I do not recommend doing this yourself in the garage. It is a little bit more than just a rudimentary bolt-on accessory. So, got the tank off. We'll bring the lift up. We're going to proceed to remove the complete intake assembly down to the throttle body, the floorboards, exhausts, right and left, mufflers, and we'll follow procedure, and I'll explain it as we go along. So here he's taking off the right side floorboard. Those fasteners will be replaced. Floorboard will get reused because we use spacers and space that out about 3/4 of an inch. Taking off the air cleaner cover, the factory air cleaner cover, the air filter element, and then the backing plate that bolts onto the heads and the throttle body. So get all that stuff out of the way. There's 2 fasteners inside the hole and 1 on top, along with 2 9/16 fasteners that go into the heads. He's buzzing those out now. There's one on the top of the box, up there. There's a hose that goes to the transmission vent. That is a direct knockoff of the Trask Checkmate. Harley seemed to like that product. We'll go ahead and remove the fasteners from the mufflers. Here he's removing the P-clamp from the crossover. He loosened up the pinch clamp that goes to the main head pipe. We'll give that a little wiggle and pull that off. So we got a separate crossover and separate mufflers. We're going to take off the right side muffler, the clamp, give it a little push there to get it loosened up. It'll wiggle right off. Get that out of the way. You want to unplug your front and rear factory O2 sensors. Pull the wires out and get them clear down to where the O2 sensor screws into the head pipe. Because you're going to take that head pipe off intact with the O2 sensors in it. Just because it's easier that way, and you are not going to be reusing these O2 sensors. The ThunderMax comes with a set of wide band O2 sensors. It is an auto-tune system. At that point, go ahead and remove your nuts from the flange bolts. On the front, you had to loosen the heat shield or remove it to gain access to the front head pipe flange nuts. Get that off of there, and you're going to retain those flanges and clips to be reused on the turbo head pipe. So that comes off the front, the main head pipe. Get that out of the way, will not be reused. Your turbo kit comes with new injectors, so you're going to remove the factory fuel rail and injectors and swap out those injectors. Unplug necessary plugs to gain access to the injector fuel rail. Take those fasteners out. It is I believe a number 25 Torx bit. Don't quote me on that, but remove those completely. Get your fuel rail out of the way with the stock injectors. There will be some fuel in there, so if you are allergic to fuel or don't like to touch fuel, put some gloves on or something, or get a different job. Remove the fuel injectors from the fuel rail. Again, they will be wet with fuel. The new injectors, you want to lube up the O-rings with some Glide or some kind of lubricant so they slide into the fuel rail evenly. I didn't really just see him lick that O-ring, did I? Anyway, lube up those O-rings, get the fuel rail back in place with the new injectors, and we'll pop down into place. Our kit comes with new fasteners. That is a M6x1 with a 10mm hex head bolt cap. We just thought that would be easier to gain access to and tighten that fuel rail down. Our kit also comes with a set of connector adapters, electrical connector adapters that will plug into the injector and allow the stock factory harness to plug into the adapter. I'll make a note on the Softail models. You'll use the adapter on the front injector, and there will be supplied a short pigtail for the rear injector. Keep that in mind on your Softail models only. Here you see Manny, he puts a hose onto the spark plug for the right side of the bike and get those installed into the head. And you can go ahead and connect those plug wires on the right side, leave the left side open at this point. Here's the throttle subplate. It's angled at the throttle body. You'll get the 3/4 20 bolts started, and then go ahead and torque down the 2 outside 3/8 bolts and then the inner 1/4 20 bolts. Then there's an angle plate that bolts onto the subplate. Again, it's just 3/4 20 bolts. One of them has a short head, which will be in the upper right triangle of the angle plate. Here he's going to be removing the factory cam cover and the cam sensor. Simple. You will see oil come out of there. Put a drain pan or you'll have a big mess. Remove the factory cam cover. Trask supplies a new cam cover that is incorporated turbo head pipe support mounts and a gasket. So you can reuse the fasteners, blue Loctite 120 inch-pounds. Run those down, torque them, and get that all set. You will put your cam sensor in place prior to the brackets and or head pipe. This is a subplate that goes under the decorative cover from Harley. It seals off what is going to be the VVT actuator. Feed line for the turbo goes into the top port on the oil filter casting. You'll tighten that down. It's an NPT thread. Just get it good and snug. There's your front head pipe support plate and the top head pipe support plate. Run those nuts down till they're just kind of snug and loosen them up so the plate can float for installation of the head pipe. Oh, here he is. He's running the feed line now. You want to make sure you do that before you install the head pipe. Point it in towards the center of the chassis. That way it will clear the head pipe and not get heated up in any way. There's a clip and a flange off the stock head pipe installed onto the Trask turbo head pipe. It's just an expansion C-clip. So we're going to install the ThunderMax O2 sensors into the head pipe, tighten those down. The head pipe has got two, what we call a double slip fit. It allows for expansion and contraction as the motor heats up and cools. He's running the O2 sensor cable or wire, routing it so it can float down to the bottom of the chassis. And the front head pipe section is removed from the main head pipe for ease of installation. So you're going to install that into the head port. Put your 2 flange nuts on there so they're just snug. Make sure the head pipe will still move relatively freely. You slide the double slip fit into the front head pipe and align the rear flange on the cylinder head studs. He's got the main support snugged down already. He's snugging down the rear flange nuts. We're going to put our boost gauge on the plenum, and I'm going to tell you why. Harley in the late model 23 and 24 25s, they changed the switch housing, and the brake perch clamp is incorporated into the switch housing. And you can see by looking at it, that would be one hell of a part to have to machine, and also add a boost gauge to it. So we have a boost gauge that mounts to the back of the plenum, and we'll go ahead and review that and get it mounted up, connected, and show how it goes. So it's just a bracket with the boost gauge, mounts onto the back of the plenum with 2 1/4 20 fasteners right there in the corner of the rag. Put a little bit of blue Loctite on there. Mount it to the back of the plenum. 120 inch-pounds of torque. And we have a provided boost line that comes with the kit, along with 2 push connectors. One on the plenum and a 90-degree push connector on the back or the bottom of the boost gauge. So the reason to call it a push connector is you just push the boost line. It's a nylon line that just push it into the connector and it automatically locks in there and seals. So pushing it into the plenum push connector and also into the boost gauge push connector, and it'll self-lock in place. And there you have it, your plenum mount boost gauge. There's our intake plenum. 3 fasteners, going to hold that into place. The cylindrical item on the bottom is what's called your blow-off valve. It's got a barbed fitting on there, and then in between the blow-off valve and the plenum is the mounting block, which also has a barbed fitting on it, and I'll explain that in more detail later. Here you see he's putting the turbo assembly onto the head pipe. It's a V-band clamp. You're going to snug that down so it can still rotate, but not like flop around. The oil drain line coming off the bottom of the turbo is purposely made long. You're going to trim that to size and orient the turbo cartridge so as the turbo drain line does not contact the head pipe in any manner. So you see he pivoted that turbo into place. The plenum charge tube lines up with the plenum, and that is how it's supposed to be, and it all revolves around that head pipe being in position prior to tightening it down on the main mounts. This is your blow-off valve, which regulates boost going into the engine. He's going to clamp that in place. Again, he's going to put it on loosely so it can rotate and pivot and get everything set the way it looks correctly from a visual standpoint. So again, there are 2 V-band clamps, one for the wastegate to the head pipe, the other for the discharge pipe to the wastegate. This large pipe that he's holding now is a discharge pipe. You're going to slide it onto the rear mount. Something that we didn't get to, the stock exhaust brackets and supports will be removed from the engine completely. Trask supplies a exhaust mount that supports your discharge pipe. So once that's all set, he's going to tighten the rear mount. It's a 3/8 carriage bolt. Tighten the V-band clamp that connects the discharge pipe to the turbo, and then the V-band clamp that connects the turbo to the head pipe. He went ahead and positioned the wastegate so that it is pointing in the right direction. There is a spigot on the wastegate for the hose that goes to the plenum. That's a velocity stack that fits into the plenum. There's an arrow pointing up. You'll put it in and rotate it clockwise slightly. That locks it into place. The magnets hold it in, and the lock plate or the lock tabs hold it from coming out. You put your window on with the Trask emblem properly located, parallel to the ground. Your bezel window with the 6 fasteners. I believe it was a 832. It's like 18 inch-pounds. Blue Loctite. So the plenum is sealed. The charge tube is sealed to the turbo. The plenum is lined up with the turbo. The discharge pipe is lined up. Everything is snug. Okay, so you got 2 hoses. One is vacuum, one is pressure. Vacuum comes off the throttle body. Pressure comes off the plenum block. So Mandy here is connecting the hose to the wastegate. That is going to go up to the pressure spigot on the block in between the blow-off valve and the plenum. We run that through the pushrod tubes so it is kept away from the heat of the head pipe. So now he's taking the vacuum cap off of the vacuum port, which will go to the blow-off valve. The purpose of the blow-off valve is to maintain turbo rotation. It's a thing that goes psht when you shift gears or let off the throttle. It is not just a cool noise. It is something that actually has a purpose and keeps the tool spooled up as to reduce what they call turbo lag. Here, man, is connecting our hose to the transmission vent cap. We no longer vent it to the throttle body. We have a little filter that we just run it up underneath the backbone of the chassis, trim the hose to size, and connect it to the filter element. It just vents to atmosphere. So here he's removing the factory ECM, lubricating the plug that goes for the O2 sensors. That is a specific grease. It's called dielectric grease. You don't want to use any kind of grease. You make sure you use that specific grease. Plug everything into the ECM, run your O2s to the front and rear O2 sensors. They are specific, front and rear. And if you got the kit, well, you got the kit from us, obviously. If you got the ECM from us, then it will be pre-programmed with a map based on the information you provided us with the configuration of your engine. Here he's reinstalling the floorboards. Our kit comes with spacers to kick that out. It was a 3/4 of an inch. There's the air filter. There's a seam that we like to point at 6 o'clock, where it is now as he snugs it down. Left side floorboard spacers with new fasteners, red Loctite, 3/8 bolt. It's like 34 foot-pounds of torque. You can always look that up. There is a SAE torque spec on Google. All right, we're gonna go ahead and reinstall the tank. He's got the tank spacers that were created for the twin cams, and he's putting them onto this M8. I don't believe they're actually necessary, but it's nice to get a little bit more clearance in there. There is a right and left front spacer, a little 1/4 inch disc spacer for the rear of the tank, and just snug that down to factory torque specs. Got the ignition on. He's got the feed line dumping into a container or catch can. He's going to crank this engine over until he sees fresh, clean oil coming out of that feed line, which will then be connected to the cartridge, the turbo cartridge, which is right there in the center of the compressor housing and the turbine housing. There's a flare fitting, so you snug that down nice and tight. Go ahead and install your plugs. Again, 0.035 spark plug gap. It is a different plug from the Harley plug. It is a little bit colder plug. Make sure you use our plugs. Okay, so you push the button, fire it up, let it idle and warm up a little bit. That's pretty much it for the turbo install. Again, this is Moots at Trask. We just did a Sasson turbo install on a 2024 Street Glide. Take it out, take it for a zip, and what we do is we come back after a good thorough test ride, plug into it and see what kind of corrections the Thunder Max has made, and then you could dump those corrections into the main map. Enjoy, have fun, be safe. Trask Performance. You can catch us at traskperformance.com. Our official distributor is Drag Specialties, and you get all our other accessories and components through them.